Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another great episode of Vash Sky ParkCast. Hello there! This is the second episode now. That's pretty cool. Awesome stuff right there. Still working on that video, I will say. But we learned some incredible things yesterday after that media summit where Disney invited members of the press to celebrate Disneyland's not just their 70th anniversary, but Disney California Adventure's 25th. Very interesting stuff we learned there, I will say. Very, very interesting. I suppose we'll get into it very, very soon, but this demonstrates to me two things. One, they are, at least the Team Disney Anaheim, the management of Disneyland Resort, is putting an enhanced emphasis on the guest experience. That's good. That's very good. At least they're saying the right things. Second thing it tells me is that is Thomas Moslem making moves to become the next chairman of experiences? It would seem, given how customer focused that they are, it would seem like maybe he's making moves. We'll see. He's on the short list of candidates for the job to replace Josh Giamaro in that position. We will see. We will see. There's great optimism here, but all of that. Well, I'll say this. I'm cautiously optimistic. Yes, there are some good things, and there were some nice words said by management, and very forthright, I will say. A lot of transparency here. But it's all about what they do that defines them and how guests actually react. To help me with this and much, much more, I have to bring on some amazing friends of ours. We have to bring on one, Miss Magically MJ. Sorry about that. Magically MJ. Magically MJ. I will get that right, MJ. I swear I will.
You're
okay.
Good. MJ will apologize. Suffice. No, MJ will suffice. It's all good.
All right. Well, fine.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. We also have the amazing, the one, the only theme park wizard. Hello there, wizard.
Hello. How are you? You hear the roosters? That's because it's the crack of dawn.
Yes, it is the crack of dawn. Sorry, it's a little bit, I don't know if you know this, MJ, but it's a little bit early on the West Coast there.
Yeah, I'm aware. Coffee, all that caffeine, got the caffeine going.
I have to thank everybody for being good sports. I know it's an early call time, but the earlier we can get this out, the better. And joining us for the first time ever is Almighty Coasters. Hello there, sir. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, I know it's early, Ethan. So I'm Alan, also from the West Coast, and I'm just glad to be on here and discuss exciting things that are coming up.
Oh, thank you so much, Alan. Very much appreciate that. Awesome stuff. Oh, look at that. I think that's our friend Marty. Pretty sure it is. Little Vash Sky to start my day before I head out to the DLR today. Let's go. Yes, let's go indeed. See, that's why I wanted to get this out here because, people are going to the Disneyland Resort right now. They're experiencing all that it has to offer, and it just got a little bit simpler to visit. Do I mean actually getting rid of park reservations? No, unfortunately not. But if you have a park hopper, pretty much easier, I will say. Let me go ahead and share my screen real fast, and we'll get right into it, guys, because I am desperately wanting to get into this. Let's see right here. We're going to jump around a little bit, but we have Scott Guston's amazing Substack. His article right here to guide us through, at least initially. Thriving for the next 70, Disneyland's expansion transition has arrived. Exciting monsters, dropping the park hopper rule, and reinvesting behind the scenes. This again by Scott Guston, February 20th, 2026. Disneyland is entering a transitional stretch as it moves forward into its next 70 years. Major expansions are happening at Disney California Adventure. Construction sequencing is shifting, headliner attractions are cycling through refurbishments, and longtime guests have been vocal about friction points ranging from park reservations to park hopping to ride downtime. Against that backdrop, resort leadership is making a series of operational moves as the resort goes through significant changes. Some are visible, like keeping Monsters, Inc. open longer and eliminating the park hopper restriction later this year. Others are happening quietly overnight, unseen by guests. During a discussion with members of the media on Thursday, Disneyland leaders said that the goal is to absorb years of expansion work without adding friction to the guest experience, even as construction walls rise. Taken together, the changes reflect what Disneyland President Thomas Moslem describes as a deliberate effort to simplify the guest experience while preparing the resort for long-term growth. Very, very interesting. Let's get into this first one, and then I'm going to go ahead and hand it to you guys. Families visiting the Disneyland Resort will have more time to ride Monsters Incorporated. Mike and Sully to the rescue. The Disney California Adventure attraction will now remain open into 2027, after previously being slated to close in early 2026. Again, we were supposed to get that date, I believe late 2025, to make way for a new experience inspired by the Avatar films. Moslem said, Disneyland Resort president, that is. The revised timeline reflects a shift in construction sequencing that allows the resort to adjust work plans without shuttering the attraction as soon as originally intended. And they did say this as well. While he did not detail what specifically had changed, he confirmed the previously announced Avatar project will move forward, that's one, and two, as planned and will not be delayed by the updated closure date for Monsters, Inc. For people unfamiliar, Monsters, Inc. currently in Hollywoodland at Disney California Adventure sits right at the heart of this Avatar expansion. This is very interesting because it should have been pretty much gone by now, and yet it's remaining. Guys, Almighty Coasters, Theme Park Wizard, MJ, please chime in. What do you guys think about this specific update?
Well, I think it's pretty interesting here. I like the park hopping rule. Ron, I've been fantastic. I hope you've been well there on the chat. But yeah, I like the park hopping rule. For me, I guess personally, it doesn't make too much of a massive effect because I usually show up like around 11 anyway, so I just go to whatever park I want to. But for the people that's there all day, it's a really nice big difference. The Monsters Inc. I think that's pretty good because as I was on OG's channel with Alan last night, and I was saying, yeah, DCA obviously, they need all the capacity they can get, especially with these family type attractions that don't really have any height requirements. So if you want to close that as late as possible, so you have as much attraction capacity out there in the park, and we just saw them do something similar in Animal Kingdom with Dinosaur. They took down all the rest of Dinoland while keeping Dinosaur open for a little bit and close that at the very latest when they absolutely needed to convert that to Indiana Jones. So I think that's something similar as what they're doing here with Avatar and Pandora and Monsters Inc.
Very interesting. Almighty Coasters, it's very interesting because we've seen Disney before take down rides that, I don't know, just thinking about it logically, it's like, well, maybe you could have postponed that just a little bit. And perhaps it's because, well, it costs money to maintain these attractions, even though perhaps these things are going away. You have to maybe deliver more parts to a specific attraction in order to maintain it for as long as you need it to be operational, even if you're pushing it at the very end. Labor's involved, all of that. It's very interesting how they would postpone this in the way that they are. It alludes to the fact that maybe they could have started out with this date initially, but things have obviously changed. Go ahead, Almighty Coasters. What do you think?
There could be a bunch of different things. Like Wizard said, based on the refurbishment schedule that they have, they need something open because they're planning maintenance at other parts of the park. So they want to keep just people's flow through. So then you're not getting bottlenecks at other places. That could be one thing. The other thing is that maybe something changed and maybe with Monsters, they might be reusing some parts of it too, so they realize that, hey, they don't need to demo everything, or like show buildings or ride manufacturers. It could be a retheme, and that's way out too. But it's maybe something changed that they said that they don't need as much time as they originally needed to. And I think that's where my mind heads to. It's for two things, like you said, ride capacity, people throughput, and maybe there's something else in store for this building that came out.
That's that's a very interesting point, right? I mean, maybe plans changed on the back end there, stuff that we're not seeing. They did not detail what was going on. Very, very interesting. I also want to point out that this is like one of the only kid-friendly dark rides in this entire park outside of maybe Ariel's Undersea Adventure, right? So it's like, that was going to be swamped for the next couple of years if, in fact, it went down as early as it did. I want to go ahead and bring on somebody amazing, somebody who knows these parks quite well and has recorded quite a bit of it. It is the one, the only, Barry Blaze 28. Hello there, Bob. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me on.
Bob.
We're just
MJ,
talking
how
about
are
the
you? Good to see
Good to
you.
see you, Bob.
We love you, Bob.
Ethan. Yeah, good to see you, Wizard. And I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time. Let me blow up my screen here so I can say hi to Almighty Coasters. How you doing?
Oh, it's great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Absolutely. Bob knows these parks inside out, like I was saying before. And yes, he has recorded pretty much all the attractions that you are able to record on by now, I'm sure. I want to go ahead and know from you, this delayed closure is very interesting, right? Because, I have said before, look, there are multiple steps in this process in order to get Avatar made. And every single delay that actually happens is, well, one more delay that we have to wait through in order to experience this version of Pandora. Bob, I want to know from you, what do you think about Monsters, Inc. being pushed back to 2027?
Well, first of all, I'm happy and excited that it's been pushed back because this is one of those rides where I actually really enjoy. It went from a Superstar Limousine, which was a very mediocre ride, to a fun, very fun ride. And I had a feeling that they were probably going to move some of those assets over to the Monsters Inc. ride over in Hollywood Studios. However, there's something else that needs to happen before they can even consider getting rid of that and putting Avatar over there. And of course, that is the parking structure, the east parking structure that's across the street. So I think once they really get that going and they get the walkway over to the Esplanade, I think that will kind of spur what needs to happen next. I think they thought they were going to be a lot further along than they are now. And so because of that, they're probably delaying the whole Monsters Inc. Not to mention, they're still working on the Avengers, campus, two new additions. You got Coco that they're working on. So they've got their hands on a lot of things at the moment. So they probably just need some time to, get to Monsters Inc. And I think using the parking structure is a good reason as to why they're probably delaying it.
Well, in response to that one, Bob, I will say that in a couple of blog posts last year, they always stated the parking structure would start in fall 2026. And then they did say Monsters Inc. still would close in early 2026. So I think there was a plan to do some initial work and relocate, maybe make a temporary bus plaza, and still is the plan, maybe, to work on Avatar, because the parking structure, remember, might only take Pixar Pals took 18 months, but this one's a little bit bigger and more involved, so call it 2 years. And Avatar would probably take 3 years. So I feel like there was a plan for the parking structure and Avatar, but I feel like the parking structure was always definitely going to open first, but it'll just take a little less longer to build.
Yep.
Yeah, let's lay the land. Let's get a little land here for our audience who might not be familiar. A lot of people at East Coast obviously maybe not know the intricacies of Disneyland and what we're talking about right here. Not to interrupt you, the Wizard, but we just want to make sure that our friends can follow along. If we see right here, okay, to the north here you have Disneyland. To the south you have Disney California Adventure. This kind of, I guess, northeast tip of California Adventure is where we're talking about the most here. And you can see right above this kind of Monsters Inc. show building that, again, is at the heart of this Avatar expansion, is the Transportation Plaza. And one of the main things that it serves right now is a bus drop-off for the Toy Story lot, right? And pickup as well. Mm-hmm. So the issue with all of this is that you've got to be able to pick up and drop off guests. That's kind of the big crux here, or at least one of them. And so many people are thinking, and I think it has been alluded to several times, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, is that this area right here this is roughly where this new 6,000 space parking structure will eventually be. And with that will be a new transportation hub, and I believe it'll allow for rideshare drop-offs and so forth. It's going to be a state-of-the-art complex, I'm sure. But in order to build Avatar, that's got to be built first. What Wizard's alluding to is that you could temporarily stage this transportation center anywhere. And I think the only thing that makes sense to me, Wizard, is going to be right over here on the symbol lot. That's the only place that something like this could even be staged, at least in my opinion. And I believe you were saying that maybe David from Fresh Baked was alluding to the fact that they might have a dedicated bus lane on Disneyland Drive. That would make sense if, in fact, you're going to relocate the transportation hub, at least temporarily. Am I getting everything correct, Wizard?
Yeah, he keeps saying in his weekly construction updates that currently over the that corner area they're being kind of ripping it out and extending. They're building a new fence. For anyone who doesn't know, they're building a new fence over the right side of Disneyland Drive there to extend the park property to eventually build Coco back there in that little corner there. And Dave, in his construction updates, he keeps saying they're also adding a lane or making one of those lanes on Disneyland Drive to a bus lane. And he's kept hearing that. And I was so confused as to why. But now, if they do plan to make this a temporary bus drop-off area or load-in area, it would make sense. But that's what he's saying. Been saying that for the past 2 months that he's been hearing that. So I don't know. Didn't understand why until now. That's the only reason I can think of why they do that over there.
It's really the only thing I can think of as well. I mean, and anybody can chime in here if they would like. This is quite the distance from the Esplanade, as one can see, much farther from the old eastern bus drop-off area, but it at least is staged on property in a way that is close enough to make the trek. It's a long trek for sure, and especially after a long day at Disneyland, that's going to be brutal. That being said, though, it's not going to be a cakewalk either to walk across Harbor Boulevard with that kind of extended bridge kind of element that is featured in the concept art for Disneyland Forward. So I guess I figure, okay, well, we'll put up with this for, maybe a year or two, possibly. And then with this displaced and with Monsters Inc. finally closed, we can really start some substantial work in this area. Is that kind of what you're getting from this? Or maybe, we'll go ahead and get MJ in here, Omni Coasters. Bob, what do you guys think about all of this?
Ladies first.
I was actually going to let you go ahead, Bob, and then I'll go in after you.
Oh,
Okay.
everyone's so
So-
kind.
I appreciate that, though.
Very good.
So I think that's the point I was trying to make without going into too many details. Yeah, you got that
Okay.
hub, and you can't build Avatar with that hub still there. So I think that things are just getting a little delayed, and because a little delayed, and Wizards are right, they had no plans doing this park construction until the end of the year. However, I think they had whatever plan they had in place is not working out, and they're thinking, okay, we'll just extend it out a little bit longer. We'll keep an extra attraction. We can't, do what we want to do to get rid of this area. And Avatar is going to take a while to build and demolish and put all of that there because it's going to take up a huge amount of space. So I think basically if they have to delay the parking structure a little bit, or if they have to delay anything, well, it just gives them opportunity to keep Monsters Inc. around. And I think you're right. I was thinking too, where are they going to put this new hub that's going to be temporary? Because you've got to have some temporary hub, in place until the Esplanade's completed. And
Right.
over there in Simba is a great place. Plus, Disneyland Drive has been bought by Disneyland. That street could eventually be completely shut down. And, people are going to have to be rerouted and go down Walnut or another street. And so you have that whole Disneyland Drive that they could actually use for the trams now. Going back and forth whenever they decide to do that. So
It's a very good point. Very good point. We saw that in Disneyland Forward's plans that they were going to purchase Disneyland Drive, and yes, indeed, they have purchased that whole thing. Which, I don't know what the what the future fate of that will be. We're assuming that Disneyland Drive all the way to Catella, and maybe to roughly downtown Disney, might be just shut down in totality. We'll see what they actually do, but what's very interesting here as well is that this building, which used to be, I believe, quarters and I think it was like a nice building. To be honest with you, it was like a immigrations and customs enforcement building. I'm not even joking about that. That was the previous tenant. Disney bought this building, and then once that I believe the lease was up, then they took that over and made the Team Disney Anaheim East building, which is very, very interesting. But that all sits in the middle of this lot right here, and we just got permits filed to demolish this building, which suggests that they're working in earnest on that parking structure. Again, all of these things have to happen first before you get to Avatar, and that's what we keep illustrating here because it's just you just have to, it's like the world's biggest chessboard with too many pieces on it. So
what is the extension on the Avatar world that they're building? How long of an extension did you guys say before? Like for the Monsters Inc. ride to stay open, and then
right. So to clarify, especially for viewers who are just tuning in,
right?
Monsters Inc. they put out a Disney Parks blog post saying that in, I believe, if I'm right here, Wizard, please correct me if I'm not, in late 2025, we would hear the closure date for Monsters Incorporated, right? This the show building at the very center of your screen right there. And we would hear about when that was going to close in 2026. Now you have Thomas Moslem getting out in front of the press saying, no, this is closing in 2027.
Amazing.
So it's pushing all that back right there. But what he's also saying, which I find astounding, is this apparently, in his view, will not delay Avatar at all, even with this updated timeline. That is significant because whenever you get a delay like that, you're expecting, okay, well, this is pushed back a year. Apparently, that's not the case. And they also said that Avatar was still on the table. A lot of people were questioning, well,
that
with
was
this.
My next question, actually. You answered my question. I thought it was going to be removed from the table, but if they're saying it's going to stay, then that's actually news to me because we have a new CEO. So yeah,
that's very true, right? And we've detailed before about how, you have Bob Iger, right? Bob Iger comes back in at the very end of 2022. Al Shapek replaces him, and a lot of pressure was put on Iger to justify that Fox purchase, right? That kind of left Disney holding the bag when it came to their debt load and so forth right before the pandemic. And so the most recent film that had come out at that time was The Way of Water. That was Avatar 2. Made $2 billion at the box office. Bob Iger now says, hey, we are bringing Avatar to Disneyland. That was at the first quarterly earnings call. That was February of 2023 when he had returned. And then we didn't really hear anything for a while. And it was like, that's kind of strange up until, I'm trying to remember when the first time we actually heard that this was going to be an experience and so forth. It was over the years. Anyway, a lot of people after Fire and Ash had come out and we saw the box office returns for that. It was like, whoa, that's significantly less than what both Avatar The Way of Water and the original Avatar in 2009 had originally pulled in. It was like, is this still on the table at all, especially if it was a initiative championed by Bob Iger, not necessarily Josh D'Amaro. Now we know it's still on the table, at least according to design officials, which is very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and move on here. For families with young children, the extension is significant, with Bluey and Bingo set to debut soon. Continued availability of Monsters, Inc. preserves one of Disney California Adventure's family-friendly rides during a period of transition. Indeed, if this one went away, Ariel's would be... you're probably looking at 2 hours or something. I don't know. It'd be overrun. But this is a big one as well. The park hopper restriction is going away later this year. Again, this is at Disneyland. Hopefully this happens at Walt Disney World as well. Another operational change is on the way. Later this year, Disneyland will eliminate the 11 a.m. park hopper rule. Currently, guests must begin their day in their reserved park and wait until 11 a.m. before switching to the other park. Once the change takes effect, guests will be able to move freely between Disneyland and Disney California Adventure throughout the day, similar to how the policy worked prior to 2020. Additional details about implementation will be released later this year. Park reservations, however, are staying. During the briefing, Moslem acknowledged reservations can be a, quote, friction point for frequent visitors. He said that resort leaders have discussed ways to restore more spontaneity to the Disneyland Resort while while maintaining demand management. We'll get into that in just a moment. I want to go ahead and start out with the park hopper restriction. Again, previously to this announcement, if you had a park hopper, doesn't matter how much you paid for it, you had to go into your first selected park, wait until 11, and then go into your next park. Now they're saying that is out. And I believe that also includes Magic Keys. Guys, what do you think about all this?
Amazing. That's fantastic. The people deserve it. Go ahead, gentlemen. That's all.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because at Disney World, isn't it? It's 2:00, right?
It's 2:00.
Yes,
That's
it's 2:00
correct.
Disney World.
To me, that is far
Terrible.
far worse. 11:00. I'll be honest with you. Now again, I'm not a daily. I'm a Magic Key guy, but I feel like even for the park hopper, it would maybe like one day park hopper. It may have been like a little bit annoying, but the park sometimes opens 8, sometimes in the off season 9, so it's maybe only 3 hours. You're really waiting for these things to hop over, which most people spend like half a day or in one, or at least a few hours in one anyway. So it's great. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it would have much more impact at Disney World or 2:00. That's just terrible. But
It is
11:00 was
terrible.
never like too terrible for me. But I show up at 11. So, but for everyone else, if you show up at 8, there's enough things to do in each park for 3 hours. I don't know if it was, it's good, but it's not like the most greatest thing in the world type of thing. I feel like it's not as impactful certainly as Disney World, but it's great. It's another step towards just pre 2020 stuff. I know they really like those reservations for other reasons, so those probably are not, or they confirmed those are not going away for a while. But that's nice. 11:00. So congrats.
I think it's great. It's coming from someone, because I think I talked about it before about the whole experience and the hassle. If you don't want to use if you don't want to use Lightning Lane, and so you want to go ahead and rope drop DCA, right? And then guess what? Cars is down. Right. Well, if that's the only reason why you were there, you're kind of stuck in a park you don't want to be in when you could go cut across to Disneyland and ride a lot of things that are a lot more high capacity. So I think that is great, and bringing back that spontaneity, because that's the one thing I did say about Disneyland compared to Disney World too. Disneyland does have a lot more spontaneity than Disney World, and this opens that up a lot more. So for me, it is exciting, especially versus. So then, if you don't want to use a Lightning Lane, you could go make a quick visit, say, hey, I want to rope drop cars. Well, cars went down. Well, okay, now I'm going to go back across to Disneyland and still enjoy my day.
Yeah, indeed. I do agree. A lot more spontaneity back and a lot more flexibility, because there would be times when I would have a reservation for like Disneyland, for example, and I'd be like, okay, let me go ahead and get the brunch over there at Lamplight Lounge. That'd be awesome. Oh wait, can't do that because it's 9 to 11. It's like, come on, I can't get over there. That's the problem.
And that's frustrating.
Indeed, Bob. I know you go between the parks all the time with your amazing live streaming and so forth. What does this mean to you?
Well, it means a lot, because I got to be honest with you, I am not a big fan of the reservations nor the park hopping change when they had made it, after the pandemic. And to me, it was more of a hindrance. It was easy for Disney because, hey, Disney wanted to be able to control when people go into the parks and how many people go in. And by doing this reservation system, it was easy for them to see all the numbers and stats of, people going where they want to go first, all that stuff. And it was a way for them to control the Magic Keys, because they could say, hey, you know what? We can control when people are going to go over to this park or this park, and we can control the reservation system. So I've never been a fan of it. To be honest with you, they did, before the pandemic, they actually tried it out. They had a pass where it was park specific, and they were testing it out. And I kept telling, friends that work at Disneyland, I was like, I am not a big fan of this. I don't like it. I actually talked to someone who was on that team, and I said, it's a bad idea. I hope they don't do this ever. And then, of course, after the pandemic, they did it. And so then I was like, ugh. And it made it very difficult. For example, we just celebrated the 25th anniversary of DCA just 2 Sundays ago, and I thought I had made my reservation for DCA. It turns out I made it so far in advance. I made it for Disneyland, and here I am, trying to get a reservation for DCA every single day for hours on end because I know that I can't park hop right away. Now, if I had gotten if they didn't have the park hop reservation issue, then I wouldn't have mattered. Oh, okay, I made a reservation for Disneyland, but I can still go over to DCA if I want to. This is going to definitely help a lot of people. And it's going to help a lot of families too, because if you think about it, Disney is the only one that has any restrictions whatsoever. You've got to make, buy a ticket. Now, technically your ticket, you just choose the day you're going to go. That's your reservation, whatever. But they used to make it more difficult, obviously. Now you go, but you can't park hop and transfer, even though you bought this really expensive ticket. You're held for 3 hours before you can go over to this other park. What? I'm spending how much money and you're refusing to let me go to this other park? I mean, that's ridiculous. And so I think it's been building up for a long time. I don't know if this is a Josh Tomorrow decision. If it is, great, his first great decision, because they definitely need to get rid of this. So I'm excited that they're getting rid of this. But when are they going to get rid of reservations? And that's the other thing. You don't have to make reservations for any other theme park in, the United States, but you do have to do it for Disneyland, Disney World. It's like really, it's just annoying. And so they need to, now that they've done this, maybe this is kind of like, Thomas is kind of alluding to, maybe this is, or was it Thomas in the article that said that? I think it was Thomas. Yeah, it said,
yes.
It's a point of contention for reservations. People are very upset about reservations. I feel like if I'm buying a pass and I'm buying the top line pass and I'm spending $1,900 a year, I should be able to go when I want, whenever I want. Like today, I'm going to Knott's Berry Farm for a little bit with some family and friends. Did I have to make a reservation? No. Can I go whenever I want? Absolutely. Awesome.
It's a really good point, Bob, because Universal is just killing it right now with their tickets and all the offers that they have. I really think the new CEO is going to be making changes, but very gradually. And I know he's been studying a lot of what Universal, Hollywood, and Orlando is doing, because you made a great point, Bob. There's no reservations needed for the next, obviously, greatest theme park. I point out Universal. I know Knott's Berry Farm. We have Six Flags. We have Cedars Point. So many, SeaWorld. But Universal does not have a system that you need reservations for. You don't have to wait for a specific time to park hop. And they just came out with an amazing ticket deal, which I won't go deep into right now, but they have a lot of competition. And I really think that if Josh is going to be successful in his role and really gain back the attention and love from the community that, brought these theme parks up to where they are, because if it wasn't for the OGs that were going and, traditional families just going as almost like second nature, right? Oh, we're going to, our vacation, we're going to go to Disney again. So if it wasn't for the OGs, I mean, he's got to really think about it a few times. But I think, like I said, I think changes are coming slowly but surely for the right reasons, for the fandom.
Yeah, I mean, these are goodwill efforts for sure. There's no question about that. And like you said, MJ, there's a lot of competition that people can opt for, especially at a lower price point, right?
Yes.
And not get those same, what they call friction points, which I thought was very interesting. I want to illustrate too, for all of our East Coast friends, just how bad it is over at the Disneyland Resort. Because, if you, let's say, don't go to reserved time for your annual pass over there, and I know you only have to make reservations basically for Magic Kingdom on the weekends, but I think that's how it works currently right now. Maybe you had a big event or something like that. If you don't go, no problems. Disneyland, oh, that's a whole different story, because now you're on a strike system if you don't go. And 3 strikes within a 90-day window, you are out for 30 days. You will not be able to make another reservation for that length of time, even if you are actively paying on it. And after your 30 days is up, then you can start making your reservations again. Again, you only get 3. Now, you might be saying, I'll never hit that. But what about families? What about people who, maybe I don't know, have to contend with school, contend with sickness, so forth. I've known many people who have hit those 3 days without even realizing it, and this is something that they have to contend with on a daily basis when they're trying to utilize their passes, sometimes in the neighborhood of $2,000. I want to go ahead and highlight this. I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to the panel real fast after this. This was from Dusty's article over there on Mice Chat talking about all these changes. I thought this was a very interesting. This was a little bit more detail than Scott Goosen provided in his. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Leadership was candid that reservations help smooth attendance patterns, particularly between weekdays and weekends. Before the March 2020 closure of the parks, weekends were generally much busier than weekdays, creating staffing and crowding challenges that were difficult to manage. Reservations, they argue, allow the resort not only to be leveled out in terms of crowd patterns, but also to better plan labor, maintenance windows, and overall capacity. In other words, from their perspective, reservations are a stability tool. That does not mean that they are universally loved. Reservations add friction for guests, obviously. They require planning, and they remove some of the old spontaneity that defined Disneyland for generations. The current leadership team appears to be firm in its belief that the operational benefits outweigh the guest inconvenience. Where they do seem willing to budge is in reducing unnecessary complexity layered on top of that system. Park hopper adjustment is one example of restoring simplicity, and we are waiting to see how the resort might address other complex elements of a current Disneyland visit that frustrates guests without delivering meaningful benefits. Guys, want to go ahead and throw it to you on this. They're saying they're going to keep the reservation system, that it's a tool, that it helps balance out the crowds. It's maybe better for guests, but surely better for them. Go ahead. What do you think about all of this?
I think it's really only better for them because they're able to go ahead and address the workforce and what they want to do. But I think it gets to the point where they kind of overuse it. And like I said, I think the 3 strike system is... It's bad. It's horrible. And I think if they use reservations so for the workflow and it wasn't capped, I think that would be better because then you want people making a lot of reservations, locking other people out because they might go, and I think that's how it inadvertently impacts the guest experience because now you have people making reservations and canceling, so other people can't go as well because they're trying to go ahead and regulate their workforce. But then that also impacts the guest experience because then on days where there's less reservations, they're also going to diminish their workforce as well too. So then that also affects capacity. I think the only real thing it does for them is help with their maintenance. And they can plan their maintenance around that, but I think they lock it down too much, and in my opinion, and it does hurt the guest experience way too much than they're letting on to believe.
Yeah, I completely
absolutely
agree there. Yeah, I think that one, if they want to have some goodwill, that they take the 3 strikes thing out. I don't know how much that actually really helps them there. But also, as Alan was alluding to, like, look, I'm a magic key holder, and right now I have, I think, 4 reservations. I felt like March 8th, March 15th, and sometime in April. But not because I plan to go on those days, except for March 15th, but because I just want to make them because before they're gone. No one at times I always make reservations and then end up have to remember to cancel 24 hours beforehand because I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna be gone. So I'm like, we'll just make them in advance. But then I just took up maybe 4 days for somebody else who actually really wants to go on March 8th or March 23rd or whatever. And I don't know if, besides March 15th, I don't know if I want to go on those other days, but I have to make them so far in advance because they're gone. I'm just taking up slots for people who really, I'm sure, do want to go. And it's very annoying in that regard. And also, like I said, as you alluded to, Dre, there's many times where, since I make them so far in advance, I'm sure Barry Place had this problem too, where I'm having fun the night before, and then I get home and it's like after midnight. I'm like, oops, oh crap, I'm supposed to go to Disneyland today, but I'm too tired to go. I'm not going today, and so I just take the the strike, and I too have been locked out because I thought, oh, I have 2 strike, I have 1 strike, I'll be fine. And then I look, I'm like, oh wait, I'm locked. I get an email, you're locked out. I'm like, oh, I had 2 strikes. I have 3. I thought I had 1, and just it's a mess.
It's very, very true. I mean, Bob, I'm sure you've gone through similar issues.
Let me tell you my woes. Right now, I'm trying to get a reservation for Sunday. So because people are making reservations in earnest, trying to just take days. I mean, the reservations get taken up quickly, and I'm just trying to get anything for Sunday because I normally stream on Sundays and Thursdays. Now, the problem was that I renewed my pass in December. I had 6 new passes, or dates that I can reserve a date to go. But I mean, you're talking about December, which is a really packed month up until the 20. I think it was the 21st this year. Or 20th, you could go, and then you couldn't start until the beginning of January. Well, I literally have been playing catch up, trying to play this game every week of, okay, when can I go and when can I make a reservation? You only get 6 reservations for the top line pass. 6 reservations is not enough to me. I think they need to open up and at least have 8 to 10. To be honest with you, it should be more. It should be 10. But the other thing is, I agree with Wizard and what Alan was saying too. You guys are right on the dot. Now, Wizard is also saying, hey, there are times when I don't feel like going, and now I can't cancel because you have to cancel by midnight. Well, how about the other issues? How about if you wake up sick the next
Exactly.
week?
Yeah.
You can't cancel. What if they allowed you to cancel by 12 noon that day? Or what if they just let you cancel that day?
Yeah, same day canceled. So simple.
Right? I mean, it still opens up for other people, but you're not penalizing. And here's where my penalization really irks me. So for most of you know, I was on 3PO with Dre quite a bit, and I had to stop back in October. My dad had a stroke, and when he had a stroke, he ended up in the hospital. And it was the day he was supposed to go, he had a reservation with me. And so, well, actually, he had the stroke the day before. And so I went to Disneyland and I said, listen, he can't make it to the park and he got a strike, and I need to get this taken care of because it's not his fault. And I don't want him to have 2 strikes because that means he only has 1 more. And once he gets 1 more, which is a very good possibility that he could possibly get another one, I don't want him to be, suffering because of it. I went through guest relations. I went to Town Hall or City Hall and talked to them. Then I had to go to one of the ticket booths. Then I had to go back to City Hall, and I also had to call the Disney hotline for Magic Keys. So I did all those things only to be told in the very end, sorry, we can't take it away, no matter if your dad's in the hospital. They wanted me to even show proof, which I did, that he was in the hospital, and they still denied me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't even have
That's very invasive.
It is.
Yeah. Like, come on, it's just a reservation.
And you guys made me provide proof that he was in the hospital, and you still are saying no. I was like, it blew me away and made me feel, I got to be honest with you. The reason why I still have a Magic Key is because I'm a theme park streamer. And if I didn't have my podcast with Park Streamers Hangout and I didn't have Berry Place 28, I would probably just cancel it. I canceled my daughter's pass 2 years ago, and we felt bad, but it got too expensive. And now it's really expensive, and you have to have a reservation. You can't park hop here. I mean, it just felt like they were trying to do whatever they could to keep Magic Keys out. And I get it. Disneyland's a little bit different than Walt Disney World. You have a lot of people who are close to the park. It's easier for them to get to. They do crowd the park. You've got about 1 million, people that have passes. However, it used to be a fun, cool thing. And it seems like ever since the pandemic, everyone wants to go to the park or do entertainment related things. And I get it. But at the same time, they're just keeping the Magic Keys. It's like the whole thing with the Dream Key. Oh, well, you know what? We got this brand new Dream Key when they finally released the passes, but you have to make a reservation. Wait a minute. I have to make a reservation, but I can go every single day of the year. Yes, as long as you make a reservation. I can't make a reservation this day. Well, then I guess you can't go. Well, wait a minute, but I'm paying for this. It doesn't matter. And so that brought up the lawsuit, right? And then it didn't matter now that lawsuit's over with. Then what did they do? Oh, well, guess what? Even though you find the top line pass and we block you out and you have to make a reservation. Sorry. I didn't mean the block out part. You have to make a reservation. You can't park hop when you want to. And now you're blocked out for 2 weeks out of the year, even with the top line pass, because you can't go from Christmas to, New Year's. And it's like, man, this just keeps getting worse. Oh, and now you're going to charge me more and more every year for my pass. So I can be honest with you. When you look at the theme parks, like MJ was talking about, when you look at what Universal is doing, even with Epic Universe over there in Florida and everything that's going on, I'd much rather go to another park sometimes because it's so much easier to go to than Disneyland. And again, I'm
Yeah.
having to play a game every week. And I'm just trying to go so I can get reservations so I can go and stream. Even if I wanted to go hang out with friends, like today, I'm going to go hang out with friends at Knott's Berry Farm. I just go. Disneyland. Oh, let me see. I got to get my phone. Can I make a reservation? Oh, do I have anything available? Oh no. Okay. I mean, I don't want to have to do that. I really feel like it's a pain, and I'm really, really upset that they still have this. So by getting rid of the, park hopper, it's one direction to, the goodwill. They did it once before when they said, okay, we're not going to make you do park hopper at 1:30. We're going to change it to, 11, in the morning.
Right.
Now they're getting rid of it. Good. Keep going. Can we please get rid of the reservation system? Like Alan said, I don't think they're going to get rid of the reservation system. It's a tool for them. Right. It's just like grocery stores. You got a member card, right? At the grocery stores, they track everything you're buying. Well, same with Disney. You're able to track everything you're doing in, the reservations and in the app. When you make a mobile order or you go get something and you get a discount, they're tracking everything. So for them, it is a great tool, but for us, it is it's just a real pain.
Can I piggyback off of what Bob said? I think
Please,
you nailed it on the head for going to other parks and having it just not being as cumbersome. Because in November I went to Orlando with my family, and my dad and my mom, they're big, like I said, they're huge into Disney, right? But then I started taking them to Universal. And we did the parks out there, and my uncle was out there too. And my uncle just enjoyed it just because it wasn't so regimented. It wasn't like we have to go do this, this, and this. And I think, I don't think that Universal's pulling fans away from Disney. But I think they're creating new fans, and I think that's what Disney is having a hard time doing, because it's so hard. Like the price of admission, it's so hard to get in there because like you said, you have to buy the pass, then you have to make the reservation, then you have to, and there's all those things that you have to do when you buy a Six Flags pass now, and then you just walk into Knott's Berry Farm or Magic Mountain. You buy the Universal pass and you just walk in there when you're able to. And then, and obviously, since it's at a cheaper price, you get that value component in there, and like you said, now Disney's too expensive, so now they're losing fans, or that too, or they can't get the new fans because like the younger generation, they're like, I'm gonna go to Universal, and I think that's just and that, unfortunately, that's where Disney gets its bad rap from right now as well too.
And to piggyback off that, I was just in Orlando just last weekend, and I'll tell you now, it was a little annoying for me, but it was really annoying for my wife. It was the only we went to Universal, and mostly Universal, and had Valentine's dinner at Disney, and went to meet our buddy Sean and Jess at their hotel at Disney. And the only part of the trip that was a little blip and annoying was the Disney part, and that was simply because it was very hard to get from Disney Springs to said hotel, even though you can probably see the hotel if it was daytime, and it was like a 5-minute drive, but the bus system is very bad. It was very frustrating. We went to the wrong one, so we ended up spending another $20 on an Uber. When at Universal, it was very easy to do the free transportation. We didn't spend in the Ubers there. We just walked, and it just came. The bus just came. So didn't even get to a park, and it was still frustrating over at the Disney World property. So yeah, just very simple things to make it a little bit better. But as of now, it's just every aspect is a little more frustrating than other theme park resorts out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And go ahead, Alan, please.
Oh, and I think the last one too. What Bob was saying, Disney. I think that the reservation it's a tool if they use it correctly. I think they just need to take off all the restrictions and like the capping, the cap at the capacity, the strike system and everything. I think you could use it so they could plan around their maintenance and better address their workforce, but they shouldn't use it to cannibalize the guest experience. And I think unfortunately they're too far in that way instead of just using it to enhance everything, because you can use it to enhance the guest experience and their operational experience. And right now they seem to be intent on operational experience, and so it's diminishing that guest experience.
That's so true. So true. I think you're exactly right there. I mean, even allowing for, as Marty pointed out in the chat, good to go days. Good to go days would be a huge relief for a lot of Magic Key holders who just want a little bit of spontaneity, who want a little bit more access. and who don't necessarily want to give up their reservations just to hold days that they might actually end up canceling, which, by the way, now you're taking away somebody's ability to go up until the last minute. Maybe they check, maybe they don't check, and that hurts ticket holders as well. And that's one of the reasons why a reservation system currently exists right now, right? It's in order to balance out the crowds. That way, annual pass holders maybe necessarily don't overrun the park and keep ticket holders away. You have this kind of balancing act, which, one could argue pretty decent right there. It's just, this is what Michael Eisner pointed out, right? This erosion of everybody's a VIP and everybody's in these kind of these classes and so forth. I don't like to see, I mean, quite frankly, Magic Key holders get shafted the way they do in order to placate ticket holders or to placate, like you said, Alan, operations and so forth. And it's just no good. Some of these things that we're discussing today are goodwill efforts. No question about that. But there's still a way to go for sure. I want to bring up this point right here while we have Bob still with us. I know he has to depart here sometime soon-ish. I want to go ahead and give him a chance to speak on this front. So let me go ahead and go back to this Dusty Sage article. Talks about hospitality and the changes that are forthcoming. Hospitality reset, back to the Disney basics. If reliability is the mechanical backbone of the resort, hospitality is its heartbeat. We'll talk about reliability in just a second. Disney leadership acknowledged something that many long-time visitors have noticed. Roughly 60% of current cast members were hired in the surge following the April 2021 reopening of the parks. 60%, y'all. That's a lot. That's even up from the 50% that we had heard, I guess, a couple of years ago. So there you go. During that frantic time, training was condensed and simplified as the resort rushed to ramp up operations. Quote, traditions, Disney's foundational onboarding experience, had to be delivered in a shortened and partially virtual format. The emphasis at the time was on safety protocols and operational readiness. Hospitality culture was harder to instill in that environment and was overshadowed by the immediate need. That's no good. The reset is underway. Okay, so let's take the first point right here. Bob, I know you had a lot to say about the hospitality at Disneyland Resort recently, and I have a lot to say about this as well. We have noticed a steep decline post-pandemic, then pre. The whole culture at Disneyland Resort has shifted, and now we have admission from management as to why that might be. Your thoughts on all this, please.
Yeah. So for most of you, I don't know if you know, but I'm a former cast member. And when I used to work for Disney, it was very strict. I mean, you had to have your uniform just right. You couldn't have, anything more than a mustache, no beard. I mean, you had to be properly groomed. And if you did not look properly groomed or you did not act appropriately at work, you were, sent home, written up. I mean, they really held people accountable, and it was very strict. But at the same time, they wanted people to treat it almost, back in the day, it felt like the way Chick-fil-A is now. You go to Chick-fil-A and they're very respectful, and it's always my pleasure. And, they want to take care of the customer. And that's why I always felt like it was when I was a cast member. And look, obviously things change over time. I get that. However, you could tell that the training has very much lax. And of course, they've changed a lot of things. I mean, obviously, times have changed, and now you've got, men and women wearing men and women's dresses and pants and things like that. Okay, regardless of all that, people are just not acting appropriately sometimes. Now, as a former cast member, I actually have stickers I made up that say, cast member extraordinary. And every time I encounter someone at the park, I always give them the sticker because, one, I know what it's like to be a cast member and what it was, like to, give good customer service and people to recognize it. And I like to recognize it too, even though I'm out there streaming. But I will tell you, there have been some times, in fact, I think we talked about it on T3PO one time. My wife, she doesn't have pass. She doesn't really like to go. She prefers, more extreme parks like, Six Flags, Magic Mountain, and Knott's Berry Farm, things like that. So Disney is not her forte, but I love Disney. However, we were all at the park together as a family, and we encountered 7 instances of poor customer service from cast members throughout that day. 7, not 1, not 2, not 3, 7. It was a nightmare. And my wife goes, how do you come here and stream at the park? How do you support them when, they treat us with disrespect today? Or we saw, instances of disrespect happening. And, for instance, we had a situation where we were going to ride in the front of the monorail, and it was great that we were going to be able to ride in front. And there was a couple from Italy, and they spoke English. The wife spoke, broken English, and we were waiting to get in. And of course, the cast member has to open it up for you, the cockpit. And she started pushing all the buttons to see if she can get in. And I told her, don't do that.
No,
well, the cast member saw her doing that, and they came over and said, were you pushing buttons? And she said, no. And she didn't understand what they were saying. And they basically said, we saw you and you were trying to get in, and you can't do that. That is against, the rules, and you can't get on the ride. And it was like, what? I mean, they're from Italy. They're visiting, and this is their, first time experiencing this, attraction, and you're going to punish them by holding off. And the husband did say, and he spoke pretty good English, he was like, you're going to punish us because my wife was pushing the button. She didn't understand. And I said, it's not a big deal. I told her not to, and she stopped. Well, we saw her doing it, and therefore you guys can't ride. It was like, where was the customer service in that whole thing? You would think that they would go, okay, we totally understand, please just don't do that. But no, they were punishing them, saying, no, you can wait for the next monorail. We might let you on the next monorail.
That's
Wow.
terrible.
See,
That is
Awful.
that is
That's
horrible.
terrible.
Right?
Horrible.
And that reminds me actually of it was a couple years ago, either last year or a couple years. Liz and her mom and I, we also wanted to go in the front of the monorail. It was downtime when they opened that back up. They're like, oh god, we went to Disneyland. I was like, yeah, let's go in the front. They went in line for the front, but there wasn't like a clear place to stand, or we didn't know, so we kind of stood around there, and then the door was open, and the monorail stopped, and the doors open, and no one said anything. Everyone else was going in other doors, so we're like, okay, maybe we should go in. Then we started walking 2 steps, and then I think the driver, someone from all the way to the end, said, stop moving, or like, don't go in there. I'm like, okay. And then they were yelling at us because we didn't even go in. We were just inching towards the front door monorail, and they were so mean. And then they got in, and the driver that's with us didn't say one word at all with the whole trip. We're just sitting there awkwardly. I'm like, this is awkward. It was kind of a weird experience. I'm like, wow, these people are not that nice.
That's no good.
Yeah.
That's no good.
I will say, like, I gave you a really bad scenario, and yes, we had a really bad experience with my family that day. It was a really bad experience, but I will say most of my experiences are really good experiences. It's just every once in a while we do encounter someone who is not is nice to the guests at the park, and look, most of the cast members are trained properly, and they do a great job, and they really want to make that magic experience for customers. But unfortunately, it seems to be happening more often is that you find cast members that just aren't as nice or accommodating, and it's not. It could be they could be having a bad day or something like that. But in my experience, seeing stuff like that happen was like few and far between previously, and it seems to be happening a lot more. So yes, there's definitely been a lax in training. I hope they get back to it. I hope they get back to what they used to do as far as bringing people aboard and doing the proper training. There's always, by the way, and this is surprising to me that Disney hasn't done this, although I'm sure it's a cost thing, but they can always go back and retrain employees, or to have them go back through orientation classes to talk to them about proper procedures and how to handle guests and things like that. But again, that's a cost issue to have the employees go through that. So is the cost benefit worth it? And of course, they can always hold the cast member accountable, but I don't think it's a huge problem. I think it's a problem that happens every so often. Unfortunately, it happens a little more than it used to.
Right.
Yeah, especially with the higher price point and everything. We'll get into what they're doing about this. MJ, I think you were going to bring up your own experiences here.
Oh yeah, no, I was just really following through with what Barry was saying, because he made so many valid points. I mean, as a Walt Disney World frequent guest, my family and I, we've had some encounters, and it's mostly at the parks than the resorts. But what I noticed is it's almost like the Disney difference is kind of gone, because you want to, you're apprehensive. Am I going to run into a cranky cast member that just doesn't want to be here today? Or am I going to run into a cast member that has been going to Disney themselves for their whole life and they're such a happy soul, right, to be here? But I just feel like post-pandemic procedures and training has gone through the cracks completely. We could experience a bad, customer service at the store or a fast food place or a restaurant and probably not take it as badly as you would. When you walk into this happy place, you're supposed to forget about reality. And it's just not happening like it used to. And it's unfortunate because it almost brings you back to like, oh, you're running into a toxic person. I walked in here not to be around toxic people. And it's just, I don't know. It's like a hit or miss. It's unfortunate. But I will agree with Barry. There are more cast members that mean well and want to help you and go out of their way to make sure you're having an amazing time. They are the more traditional cast members that probably have been going to Disney their whole lives or just had really good, childhood upbringing. And then you have the other ones. I don't know who raised them, but they are just like,
some
who
people's
raised
children.
you? Where did you come from? What tree did you fall off of, you rotten apple, you? So I just wanted to piggyback off that because it's really important to me, how they treat my kids, and you cannot chastise people. And a lot of these Disneyland resort parks, they need Disneyland and Disney World. They need to remember that the foreigners, the ones that don't really speak English or don't understand or don't know what's going on, those are your that's your bread and butter because they're going to spend the most money at these resorts. Your annual pass holders and frequent, locals that come frequently are probably not going to spend as much money because we're here to either vlog or pick up a new popcorn bucket that came out or a magnet or try the new food that just got announced on one of the menu changes. But the foreigners should not be chastised. They spent so much money crossing the pond.
True.
And they are ready to book those big dining reservations and buy up all the merch because they don't get to be here as often as what I have to say about that one.
Go ahead.
I think, unfortunately, because a lot more, I think it does go back to training. But I think a lot more of the Disney experience, it's not face to face anymore. A lot of it is through the app now. So I
true.
think and I think the rise of just these more instances of bad customer service is in correlation to how much time you spend on your phone now to book certain experiences. And so sometimes, even like you said with Bob about his dad and everything too, they said we need to do all this, and then we can't do it. About getting rid of the strike because of a medical emergency. I think these people, they just don't know how to do it because a lot of more things is based on self-service actions now. So when they come into conflict resolution, how to redirect, how to slow down and say, hey, you're not allowed to do this. They just don't know. So it's either 0 or 100. They said, they turned the other way. What they do a lot of times with line cutting, or they say, hey, guess what? They're at 100. Like, you can't do this. Wait for the next monorail.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where it goes. And I've seen it at Disneyland and Disney World. I've seen it at Universal Parks as well too. It's because customer service, it's really an art form that and it extends outside the parks.
Yes,
it extends outside the parks, but a lot of people don't know how to do it anymore because now a lot of customer service is, hey, guess what? AI robot on the phone, app, email this out here too and wait for a response. So when you need that immediate customer service, people, they're just not rising to the bar anymore. And I do think Disney should probably reinvest in some training, especially if they're using these back to the reservations. You're able to go ahead and see your park flow. So it's like, okay, if not as many people are going this day, these people, I could take them out of the park so they could go train, so they could go retrain. And retraining is not always a bad thing. You could do a retraining just once a year,
Correct.
just and because other jobs do it, and it's not always a bad thing. And maybe Disney, I don't know what they're doing, but maybe they need to invest in that as well too, because everyone needs a refresher.
Very well said.
I think they do. And Harrison Bergeron, who was a commenter on this My Shit article, said, I didn't fully appreciate the impact that cast member attitude had on the Disney experience until it started to decline. Sometimes in the last decade, I'd approximate and noticed cast members shouting at guests, having loud personal conversations with each other while on stage, making rude comments about guests that I could clearly overhear. It really diminished the idea of Disneyland being a special place removed from the real world. To MJ's point, I really hope it's not too late to undo that. Well, they are doing something about it. This was very interesting as well. Let's go ahead and go back to this article right here and see what they're doing. The reset is now underway. All cast members still begin with traditions training on day one. Operations cast members then attend a second training program called Step Into the Magic. Over the past year, the second phase has been expanded from 1 day to 2 full days, with greater emphasis on role modeling, service expectations, and empowering cast members to shape the experience. Leadership is starting by retraining leads and managers first, with frontline reinforcement happening through ongoing development and daily expectations. They took your advice right there. They're retraining, and that's good. The goal is consistency, not just knowing the rules, but understanding how to solve issues for guests in the moment. They also shared some notable metrics. In 2024, more than 500,000 mobile cast compliments were submitted by guests through the resort's app-based recognition tool. Turnover currently sits at around 15%, currently significantly lower than broader tourism industry averages. And in internal surveys, roughly 3/4 of the cast members say that they intend to stay with the company for 5 years or more. Those numbers suggest stability, but that's only good if the cast members who are staying are the ones who make the guest experience better. Cast member who anticipates a need before being asked, the operator who communicates clearly during a delay, the team member who actually knows what a menu item tastes like because they were trained on it. I want to go back to Scott Guston's Substack here because I thought it was really interesting, the example that they bring out here. Let's see. Okay, so Brenai Daharo, Director of Operations and Integration, said that the recent example that they cited for improved training and what they want the customer experience to be like was this one. Cast members are expected to manage unexpected disruptions, and you can see right here the monorail incident that took place not too long ago at Disneyland Resort. During the delay, which left guests stranded for several hours on that monorail beam just above the Indiana Jones attraction at Disneyland, a cast member provided regular updates while crews worked to resolve the issue. When passengers were finally evacuated, guests applauded the employee. Resort leaders described the moment as an example of how clear communication and empathy can influence how visitors remember a difficult experience. Quote, "Hospitality is at the heart of everything we do," Taharo said. "We know that when guests plan a trip at Disney Resort, they are looking for a truly magical experience, and it's our privilege to make them feel welcomed, cared for, and valued so that these special moments with our customers can cherish memories that will last long after their visit ends." This is very encouraging, guys. Very encouraging that Disney is not only admitting the flaws that, have set up maybe a not so great cast member culture and are actively doing something about it. Please, your guys' thoughts.
If I can chime in real quick, because I don't have much time left because I need to leave about 9:15. But
Please.
But so I was there the day that the monorail shut down and that whole thing happened. And I will tell you, I saw some amazing cast members really take care of guests. Now, granted, some of those guests have been stuck for hours on the monorail, but they really went out of their way to help people out. And so when I was talking about my horror stories before, yes, there are definitely those times when it happens, but the cast members most of the time do their best to really, make guest experiences magical, which is really, really cool. I will tell you too, cast members do have a big job, and it's really tough dealing with a guest sometimes because I was evacuated off of Pirates of the Caribbean just a couple weeks ago, and I was sitting in the back of the boat. Granted, we'd been sitting there for probably about a half hour, and I was only like maybe 4 or 5 boats back from the actual beginning of the ride. So I was up there where you walk into, Pirates of the Caribbean, you can see the boats going by. I was in that section, and we had a whole family taking up rows 1 through 5, and I was in row 6 by myself. This whole entire family was huge, and at one point, there was a guy who started standing up, and he would not sit down at all. And the cast members were like, "Sir, can you please sit down? We don't want you to fall over into the wall or anything like that." He started yelling and screaming and getting upset at the cast members, saying, "I can't sit on my bottom anymore. This is ridiculous. When are you going to let us off this boat? How are you going to get us off? What's the evacuation plan?" And then he started riling up his family members, and they started getting upset. And obviously, those are situations where it's unfortunate the ride broke down. They were doing their best to try to get people off. I think they were trying to get the ride back up and operational again before they tried to do an evacuation, but obviously it didn't happen. So they evacuated everyone out of line. Once they got everyone out of line, then they started doing the proper evacuation process of getting people off the boats. But then the family was upset because, why are you going to that boat first? Why aren't you coming to our boat first? And it was very intense. And between the cast members and the security and the fire department and the people and the engineers that came out, they were being chastised by a lot of guests, and it was unfortunate because it was not their fault the ride broke down, but they're having to take that brunt. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, we all have bad days at work, right? Sometimes we have some really great days, and sometimes we have customers that give us a hard time, and it makes our experience even worse as a employee, and then we are frustrated. So sometimes it gets taken out because of that frustration. Regardless, everyone should try to be as nice as possible, whether you're a guest or a cast member. But and I'm not trying to make up excuses for the cast members, but that's an experience of where, hey, guests were really upset, and I understood why they're upset, and they have a lot to deal with. And when you have the public and you have so many thousands of people coming into the park every day, you don't know what the cast member is going through too. And if they didn't have the proper training, then yes, it can make this situation worse.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There's no question about that. I know, Bob, you got to run. Please go ahead and tell the fine people at home where they can find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there.
Yeah, so you can find me on the Park Streamers Hangout. That's my second channel with Theme Park Casual and Courting in California. If you guys haven't seen it, you definitely need to check it out. If you can click on that thumbnail real quick for me, Dre, we have two special guests. We have Disney legend Martha Blanding, who was the very first Black tour guide at Disneyland. She is going to be talking with her co-author, Tim O'Day, who wrote her biography with her on our show. It's going to be great. So if you want to learn more about Martha Blanding and her growing up and becoming a Disney legend, this is going to be a great interview. We have some amazing guests from time to time on the Park Streamers Hangout. We normally cover theme park news, kind of like what Vash Sky does here on the ParkCast, but from time to time we have some amazing guests like we have here on Monday. And this is going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific time, so come join us. And then also you can follow me at Berry Place 28. I usually stream on Sundays and Thursdays. If I can get a reservation for tomorrow, I'll be at Disneyland. If not, I might be at Knott's Berry Farm. Who knows? But I will be streaming tomorrow, probably late afternoon to early evening time. But you guys are more than welcome to come hang out with us. We are getting close to 50,000 subs, so I hope that you guys will come. I know, crazy. It seems like it was just last year that Theme Park Wizards like, you're going to be going this direction.
That's right. And
yes,
look at you.
I know. Well, anyhow, come hang out with us. We're probably in the next couple weeks, we'll be hitting that milestone and we'll be celebrating. But also, I just opened up my very first Etsy store that's related to my channel called Ariel's Place, which is named after my daughter, not the Little Mermaid. And if you go to arielsplace.com, it's an Etsy store, and I have all my Berry Place merch on there, as well as some other really cool shirts and things like that. And so definitely go check it out. And I hope you come hang out with us at Berry Place and Park Streamers Hangout. I almost didn't say it right. Hello. I'm all excited here. Woo!
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bob. Very much appreciate that. Berry Place 28.
Bobby.
It was a pleasure, obviously, being on your show. And Dre, I'm looking forward to be on more podcasts. Ethan, it's always a pleasure to see you, and I hope you and your wife are doing well. Alan, it was really great meeting you, and I wish you much success in your channel. You just hit 500 subs not too long ago, so congrats. And I just subscribed.
Really.
And then you got MJ. MJ, you've been coming into my live streams lately, and I really appreciate it. And obviously, you're good friends with Erica, so it's great to see you and work with you on the podcast. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be a part of this amazing community. Enjoy your day, Bob. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Bob. Very much appreciate you.
Bobby.
You're welcome.
He is fantastic, guys.
Yeah,
if you want to attend a live stream and take you around the park. That guy is about the best stream you can actually join. Interestingly, Theme Park Casual, right up there, and we're going to be giving out a link to his live stream after this show. So joining in all the fun indeed. All right, getting back to it here. This I thought was very interesting. Now, I will compliment Disney taking the initiative on the cast member issue. I think that it helps the cast members as part of that 60%, but it also helps the cast members as part of that 40% who rely on that 60% to really uphold the standards. And now that retraining, I think, is really, really good. I think I brought the idea that, hey, maybe you should have like a cultural management team in which you go from attraction to attraction, retrain those cast members, shore up that guest experience, and move on. I'm not saying that they're doing something similar or they're taking my idea, but they are at least addressing this issue in a very comprehensive way, and that's cool. One last thing before changing this subject here. Albertus Magnus says, why is Disney retraining now? Why didn't they maintain their high standards of training all along? COVID's no excuse. Yeah, that was really unfortunate because Disney was forced to fire basically 28,000 cast members because of the length of time that Disneyland was closed. Remember, it was closed for 412 days. They thought they were going to be open in July, at least at Disneyland. That didn't end up happening. And so you can't hold all that labor and, maintain their insurance and everything else. So they had no choice but to lay them off. And then when they actually had to reopen the resort, they had to go from zero, effectively, to about 30,000, lickety split. So there was really no time at all to fill those roles, get to operational consistency, and then open up. It was a real problem, a real issue. That was one of the reasons why they changed the Disney look standards and everything else in order to help facilitate that. But it was a sad time. I will give it to Thomas Mausam and company that they're doing something about it now because this really needed to happen. Let's see here. There's another frustration, though, another friction point, Alan, that Disneyland guests have been having, specifically with this resort. Here you go. Ride closures and guest frustration. At the same time, frequent visitors have increasingly voiced frustration about ride closures and refurbishments, particularly when multiple attractions are unavailable during peak travel periods. Disneyland publishes planned maintenance schedules and same-day closures through its app and website. But when major attractions are down for refurbishment or experience repeated temporary shutdowns, it can shape how guests perceive the value of their visit. In recent seasons, several headliner attractions have cycled through extended refurbs or seasonal overlays, a pattern that has become a regular talking point in fan communities, especially when... Wait, I lost my place. Hang on. Especially when layered on top of ongoing construction. Resort leaders said that many of the operational adjustments now underway are designed to address those concerns over time. While expansion projects draw headlines, Disneyland leadership revealed significant changes in attraction reliability and maintenance strategy. Natalie Katska, director of Attractions Engineering Services, said teams focus on three primary areas: overnight safety, preventative maintenance, and rapid response to unexpected issues, long-term scheduled refurbishments. Disney said some operational changes last year resulted in an estimated 1.5 million additional guest ride experiences compared to the prior year. I believe that metric is how many guests per day can experience each attraction, if I'm not mistaken.
So more in the roller coaster stuff like that, too. It's because when they usually do ride experience, it's per year, and each ride, it's how many, for lack of a better term, how many butts are in the seats.
Right. Okay.
As well too, and then so it's not based off a theoretical capacity, so it's based off of butts and seats and what
it's
they're
actually
pushed through.
I believe you have theoretical capacity and then you have I think it's operational. Because
you have theoretical capacity, operational capacity, and then the other one is while the ride's running, how many people would have been able to ride it. As well too. And so with empty seats. So what they were saying is that they had 1.5 million additional guests to ride experience, but that's throughout all the rides, not just a single ride.
Correct. Yes, yeah. And that's the butts and seats metric that you were talking about before, which makes sense. They also said that I believe Katsuka said that they had moved Small World and the Haunted Mansion overlays in such a way that they gained an additional 200,000 of that specific metric right there, which is important. According to Disney data shared during the briefing, about 13% of unplanned downtime in fiscal year 2025 was linked to preventable guest actions, such as loose items falling onto ride tracks or guests standing up in ride vehicles. To address reliability, the resort has expanded overnight maintenance windows, giving engineering teams additional time to complete preventative work before attractions open each morning. The resort also adjusted its parts management strategy, particularly on high-demand attractions such as Radiator Springs Racers. Katsuka said strategically timed deliveries of parts allowed the ride to operate with its maximum number of vehicles during most operating hours in December, increasing overall capacity. This, I thought, was really, really interesting that they mentioned Radiator Springs Racers, because we had heard within fan communities that Radiator Springs Racers for the longest time wasn't actually utilizing all the cars that it possibly could. Why? Because every single one of those cars has a lifespan before they have to be overhauled. And apparently they could not get parts from various manufacturers all over the world in order to facilitate those overhauls. So what they do? They would significantly shrink how many cars were on the track in order to stretch out those operating windows for those cars overall in the fleet. Very, very interesting, because it led to long lines and all of that. Now, okay, there are going to be things that you can't control. No question about that. You're going to have to make do with what you got. But I'm going to knock Disney on this one. You still profited from it, didn't you? You still sold lightning lanes during this part, didn't you? Yeah, you see, that's something you could control, Disney. And you definitely took advantage. Guys, what do you think? They are changing how they roll out refurbishments, expanding windows for overnight cast members. They are, adjusting parts delivery schedules and so forth in order to facilitate maximum capacity for these attractions. What do you guys think about this? Because Len Testa, I believe, has said that, at least at Walt Disney World, up to 25% of any park's daily capacity could be eaten up by unexpected downtime. Your thoughts?
I guess since this, I feel like this is more in my realm. Disney
Please.
In general, they have a hard time, more so than any of the parks, because for 365 days a year, they're running too, and those overnight maintenance windows, they're very, very, very critical. So expanding that, I think, something that they had to do, and it's that perceived perception, because Disneyland, especially compared to Disney World, we have more locals, we have more people that come in, more frequent visitors as well. So they'll see it, and they'll see that a ride's down, and to them, it's always that perception, even though they might be going, they might be going during that maintenance window, or when a ride's kind of having like a bad day, like Radiator Springs Racers, like that too, because of all the moving parts on there as well. So it gets the impression of a troubled ride, even though there is more uptime than downtime. But expanding those overnight maintenance windows, I think, is very, very critical. And I think it's going to lead to the longevity of the rides. Another thing is that since Disney, they have so many legacy attractions now, and that's rides that are over 10 years old.
Right.
So some manufacturers that originally made the ride, they're not there anymore. So it's not
Arrow.
like you could so it's not like you could go pick it up off the shelf, especially since they're specially designed for that too. Even if they get the parts that they need, they have to be customized for Disneyland as well too.
Right.
So like I said, a very, very hard task to upkeep everything that they have. But expanding the windows, it seems like they're addressing it too, because even though it might not be as dire as visitors are making it seem to be, it is dire enough that they're addressing it, and they want to fix that perception. So I think it's very, very, very good that they're doing that.
Yes, I do think it's very, very good. When I think about expanding overnight windows, this is very interesting. Do we believe that this is that an attraction's maybe being worked on, maintained, right? Mm-hmm. do we believe that maintenance bleeds into the operating day? Because we have seen a little bit of delayed openings for certain attractions on certain days.
Sometimes it does, because I can speak more so on the roller coasters, because usually during that overnight window, they're also going to do pretty much their morning checks as well too. And if they can't do it, that's when it bleeds in. So Incredicoaster uses LIMs as well, so they have to do that. They have to check all the block zones as well too. So and if something's wrong with that, then yes, that is going to bleed. That is going to bleed into it for those delayed openings as well. Radiator Springs Racers, Indiana Jones is another one. Is another one as well too. Where I think it does bleed into the operating day, because sometimes you have no choice. Because and they have to make a decision. It's, do we let the overnight bleed into operating day so we can open this right at full capacity, or do we take off a vehicle or two, and then open it up at limited capacity, and then you go into the other issue that you have, because I know like Epic Universe they're having these discussions every day, because I know people in the maintenance team at Epic Universe, and I think that's the biggest problem with that park. And I know Disney, so they're going through the same thing. So I think it does have to go in there, but they have to make a choice to see how much issues is one vehicle having. Can they fix it so you can maximize capacity? Because you think about it, even if you take off one vehicle, it totally changes how the ride operates.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, we see this with coasters all the time. And for those who are unfamiliar, a block zone, no, I'm not going to go into the El Toro Ryan skit right there, but you know what I'm saying. Wizard, this is, I am encouraged by this about maybe increasing overnight windows in order to maintain these attractions and so forth. To me, it kind of seems like I understand maintenance technicians don't grow on trees, but I would think that some of these issues might be mitigated with increased staff. What do you think about all of that? What do you think about what Katsuki is saying?
Yeah, I like it. Anything that increases attraction uptime is great. Increasing overnight windows and hiring more staff, whatever we got to do to make sure things work properly. And even, Disney rides have lots of different animatronics and all these little things that could easily break. So it's good to have them. Make sure they're working like Small World for a while. I remember Small World had missing dolls and things like that, and luckily those have all returned. So that's why these things are so important, because all these little things that you subconsciously notice, and if they're gone, you'll be like, oh, wait a second, wasn't there something over there for a while?
Right.
So attraction, overnight maintenance crews, whatever you got to do, because that's what, speaking of Epic Universe, a lot of the animatronics in Super Nintendo World, particularly when I went, were not operating. So it's things like that. You do start to notice, even if you don't notice, even if you don't know you're noticing, you still notice that these things are not working.
Okay,
so we got to get them working.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Uh-oh. It's well timed there, MJ. No, this is super, super interesting, because look, Alan is exactly right. You're talking about attractions at Disneyland Resort going back 70 years at this point, right? And a lot of those manufacturers don't obviously exist in order to fabricate parts, so you have to maybe fabricate them in-house or get other providers in order to provide you those parts. Very expensive to maintain something like that. This is why a lot of regional parks, they end up getting rid of coasters that they can't maintain because of the original manufacturer going away, which is horrible to see, but is an operational reality. Disney might be able to maintain those experiences, but obviously that comes at an additional cost. This is very interesting too, because I'm reminded about what happened in the 1990s with the introduction of Paul Pressler. Paul Pressler says, hey, going to make some operational changes right here, and I'm going to go to McKinsey and Company, a consulting group, in order to do that. Now, if you don't know who McKinsey and Company are, they're a group of consultants that don't specialize in any one field, but they'll tell you how to operate your business. And unfortunately, that had devastating consequences for the Disneyland Resort. Essentially, you had let's say you had a group of technicians and they worked Fantasyland attractions. That's all they did. They just worked Fantasyland attractions right there. Well, McKinsey says, well, wait a minute, hang on, guys. We don't need a set group of technicians for one area. We can heavily reduce that workforce and have those maintenance technicians everywhere. So instead of knowing the attractions like the back of their hand, now they're forced into roles in which they have to maintain a litany of attractions. Indiana Jones, for example, is much different than, Peter Pan, for example, right? And it has it has many different operational elements to it.
Please do not talk about my Peter Pan.
Sorry, it's a very different attraction, I will say.
I love that ride.
Yes, indeed. They also moved to a system. It was kind of an aeronautical engineering system in which, instead of relying on maintenance technicians to order parts, right, they would go by a set schedule determined by historical data. And it was really interesting because there were interviews with maintenance technicians who would be forced to answer questions like, "Hey, why do you check the restraints every single morning? What's going on there?" And it's like, that's part of the opening, that's part of the opening operational safety standards and guidelines. It's like, well, we've never had a failure. And it's like, yeah, one of the reasons why is because we're checking stuff. One of the reasons why is because we're reducing issues before they even happen. And so preventative maintenance actually kind of fell by the wayside for a little bit there. It wasn't until we met until those things got corrected. And unfortunately, 2 people ended up losing their lives on attractions that, took this consultation to heart, which is very, very sad. But it is encouraging to see that they're doing something about this uptime issue, because it has been really, really bad in recent years. And as Alan beautifully pointed out, there are going to be issues to overcome to make these things more reliable, and it looks like they're doing just that. Let's go ahead and go back to this article real fast. During the holiday season, engineers tested operational changes to the Disneyland Railroad that allowed it to run a 4th train, carrying around 29,000 additional guests over a 10-day period compared with the same stretch the year before. 4 train ops, guys. We haven't seen that for years. And I was told by a cast member, the train runs more efficiently with 3 trains than 4. Well, apparently not, because they got 30,000 more guests on there. And that's a huge increase in capacity.
Yes.
Massive. I mean, there are attractions that don't even get like 29,000 guests in a day. Okay, so that's huge to increase it by that much.
I was saying Ghost Rider.
That too.
Ghost Rider. I love that coaster, but you got to do something about 2 train ops, man. We need a 3rd train on there. Six Flags, make it happen. By restructuring installation schedules and processes for seasonal overlays at Haunted Mansion and It's a Small World, the resort added 9 additional operating days during the most recent holiday season. Officials said that those additional days translated into nearly 200,000 more guest ride experiences, or, as Alan points out, butts and seats combined across the 2 attractions. Even flooring adjustments on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance were cited as part of the ongoing efforts to address ride faults and improve long-term reliability. This is interesting. What do you think flooring adjustments mean? Because I saw this and I was trying to figure this out. Go ahead.
I think it has to go back to that. I think there may be referring to that issue way back when Rise was being built with when they were doing the floor and they're installing whatever Wi-Fi signals things for the vehicles to go in there. I remember they had an issue with that. Maybe they're still adjusting things like that. I wonder if they can do the same floor adjustments to. Well, I don't know. No, that doesn't matter. I was going to say Mickey and Minnie's, but that's more about with objects falling and blocking the vehicles there. But yeah, it's good if they're doing floor adjustments to Rise of the Resistance. That's probably what they were doing the past couple of weeks to keep it open.
Vibration reduction.
All for it. But yeah, maybe that too. But now it's good. Whatever keeps the ride open. I know it broke down later on that day, but that's always to be expected. But
we were just on Rise last month, but they just recently announced that they are doing refurbishment on the elevators. Because remember, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway, that system is the same as Rise. It's a trackless ride, but in Rise, you do have elements that you're going, up and down and then to and fro. So they are working on that. I don't know what they mean by floor adjustments, but I know they're working on those elevators over here at the Walt Disney World Resort. That is, I'm not sure about the one in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
Go ahead.
Mhm.
No, I just did a quick thing too. So they're saying most likely the AT-AT room, because it's a unique floor structure. So
I see.
So probably
That makes sense.
yeah. So that's the one thing I can say because I think, but I know we have different issues because I know the Florida version, the California version, they have different parts of the rides that goes down. for rides.
Yeah.
So and I've heard, and I don't know how much credence it is because I heard ours is more reliable than theirs, but then I think, and so I'm not sure how true that is. So
I've heard Florida's suffers from unique power issues.
yeah,
That Disneyland doesn't. So that's what I've heard.
it's the churros.
Florida suffers from being in the sucky resort because West Coast best.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Oh.
Wizard.
Oh,
Wizard?
Shots fired.
we could do that one.
Shots fired.
I see that.
I did not say that, but I condone that message.
I happen to love the resorts over here, Wizard. We have the best resorts. I'm so sorry.
That's
Your
the
Universal
maybe
Resort's better.
maybe the hotels, but we still have more attractions than all your 4 parks combined. So
Well,
maybe your Universal Resort, you got it. But
Your Universal's better.
yeah, but we'll take Disney, right?
Well,
Walt Disney World always has power issues. Sorry, I'm reading the comments.
That's true. That's very true. Universal, Florida, way better. There's no comparison, not even close. Way better.
Yeah.
Disney parks, though, on the other hand, Walt Disney World Resort, great. Disneyland parks, that's a different story.
Beautiful.
We could park hop efficiently.
That is it. That's all we have to do. All we have to do
Right.
At our leisure, apparently, too.
we walk about 1,500 steps, and
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture.
But like what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
Better bars. That's true. That's true. The experience superior. Oh boy. Let's get back to it right here, guys. We know that being able to enjoy more attractions in a day plays a big role in how guests feel about their visit. Katska said, work behind the scenes to care for our attractions is one of the most important ways that we can invest in making the guest experience the best it can be. Let's talk about that guest experience, actually, because I think Dusty has some really interesting stuff to say about that. Let's see here. The cost question. Let's address the issue that hangs over every Disney park conversation right now, price. In a recent interview on In Depth with award-winning journalist Graham Bessinger, former Disney CEO Michael Eisner said that he was, quote, not wild about the fact that it is now so expensive to go to Disneyland or Walt Disney World. When a former leader of the company publicly questions the affordability of parks, it underscores what many families already feel when they begin to price out a trip. Disneyland leadership did not ignore that reality. They acknowledged that a Disney vacation costs more than it did years ago, and that some families need more time to plan and to save for a Disneyland visit. At the same time, they deliberately highlighted their efforts to create more affordable options for guests. The entry-level $104 ticket, one day, one park, has now been at the same price that it has been for the past 7 years. Additionally, the popular Southern California resident promotional ticket has been expanded statewide to all California residents. Active duty military tickets are now available year-round and can be purchased online rather than only on base. Critical for those like Erica, American Raff right there. Oh, Alan, go
I
ahead.
will say that too. The online part, they're still having issues with it. So if you try, it won't charge.
Oh, good. That's fantastic.
But I do know they are addressing
strike
it.
that out there.
No, I would say that from personal experience.
I appreciate that, Alan. Thank you. You see, this is why we got the experts on board here. The $50 Kids Park Hopper ticket is clearly aimed at encouraging young families to visit, even during peak season. And that ticket is being paired with a smaller in-park adjustment, a new $5.99 kids meal that includes a mini hot dog, choice of milk, water, juice, and a small orange is rolling out as part of the family-focused push. Scott Goosen actually said that was part of the Bluey experience. Interestingly enough, that might be why Troubadour Tavern went down. More than half of Disneyland's attendance comes from California. Very interesting stuff. Want to go ahead and remember that. Leadership emphasized the fact repeatedly. Expanding regional offers and lowering entry points is not just goodwill. It is a strategic effort to maintain access to the resort's core audience. These deals don't completely transform the high cost of Disneyland Day, but it signals an awareness that pricing is an issue for many, and the resort doesn't want to alienate its core audience. Folks, what do you say about that? Do you believe the spin, or do you think that Disneyland it's a little bit expensive?
It's everywhere. Everywhere you go. I actually been recently comparing when we go out to eat as a family at a restaurant to the prices we pay at the resorts. When I mean the resorts, the parks. It's not much of a difference. Yeah, you feel a little strange paying $7 for a Mickey bar, but you're at Disney. You're going to pay $7 for the Mickey bar.
Yeah.
You're not going to go,
Sure.
You want something, you go to the gas station, it's going to be $3 or $4, right? So, I mean, it just depends. And I think this is part of their tactic with some other things going on here with the dining plan down this way. I know, I don't know about the West Coast, but I just feel like you need to brace yourself and prepare and maybe get preloaded gift cards, go to BJ's, go to Costco, and get yourself a budget. Do your research ahead of time so you know what you're going to be paying for food and snack. If you don't want to eat in the parks, kudos. You leave the property, go have lunch or dinner somewhere else, and then just have a budget for snacks and tasty treats while you're at the parks, right? I mean, depending on what kind of person you are. If you're going to go full throttle, then just be ready, embrace yourself, because you're going to pay. You're paying for the experience, not necessarily the food. That's how I see it.
Okay. So I say, whatchamacallit, it's it depends, because I feel like I don't know. I feel like, well, if you're going as a tourist and you're spending it all day, I feel like, you built into the budget, you're going to eat something, right? Or if you really do your research and preparation, you can bring in a sandwich because you can bring in food and have that as your lunch and maybe save some bucks there, right? But I don't know. I feel like as a magic key holder, who goes in and goes out, I try to just not eat at the park not because it's expensive at most, because I don't really like the food over there. But so to me, I usually go to Hungry Bear Barbecue, spend like I think it's about $20. But for me, I don't need a big portion. So for me, that the spare ribs platter and the pulled pork and the corn and the coleslaw for $20 is a good deal. But for me, that if someone else that could be not enough food. So I don't know. It really depends. We can prepare. You can bring stuff in if the food's too expensive. But I feel like most people should just bake it into their budget for the day. 3 meals, $60. What, $20 per person type of thing.
I will say that the food part of theme parks, especially for Disney and Universal mostly too, are actually cheaper than SeaWorld and Six Flags and everything.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
And better
good
quality.
So
Six Flags food's terrible.
Yeah, so I think
go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think eating in the park isn't the biggest miscue, and like what MJ said too, it's like it's not that different from eating out. And I said it because even like I said, I'll go to Universal over here, Universal Studios Hollywood for lunch sometimes with my son, and we'll go in there and eat, and it's cheap, and it's cheaper than us going to Shake Shack.
Right. Shake Shack. God bless Shake Shack.
Yeah,
God, it's so expensive.
Yeah, but that's my point. And
Right.
and we're having ribs platters over in and at Hogsmeade and everything too, or we'll go to Super Nintendo World and do that. I think their efforts are just trying to get people inside the park, because unfortunately, I think people are programmed. They don't look at what you're spending inside the park. They're looking at that barrier to entry, so that ticket. And the thing is too, like compared to your Six Flags park, Disney, it costs more up front, but unless you're buying merchandise, you're spending less inside the park. If you're eating and stuff like that. Six Flags Magic Mountain, it's opposite. It's cheaper to get in, but if you're actually buying food, you're not a pass holder, it costs more to eat there and do that. So then when you look at the spending, it's almost neck and neck. And then SeaWorld is forget about it. And that's the thing, because when I went on my last trip to Florida, we hit Islands of Adventure and SeaWorld Orlando in the same day too. And the reason why is because the reason why we swapped parks is because it was cheaper to eat at Islands of Adventure than it was at SeaWorld Orlando.
Right.
Not only the food stuff, but also the surcharges and everything. So I do think some of it is more it's kind of more lip service or addressing what people feel. And I think maybe snacking, they're trying to reduce that so you can go get a snack. But if you're actually buying a meal at Disney, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, that spare ribs platter. I mean, it's two meats and the coleslaw and a couple of, like I said, it's under $20. It's like maybe 15 or 16. That's before my believe key discount at the Hungry Bear Barbecue. It's really not that terrible.
Well, I will note too. I mean, Alan is exactly right here once again. I was surprised at Six Flags and SeaWorld, especially Orlando, when I went there. They will subsidize their meal plans with how much they charge per item at their menus. So, like, you'll get like a heavily inflated price tag at like a SeaWorld for like a burger or something like that. And it's like, why is that so high? And it's like, well, it's sort of trying to pay for, or push people towards their daily meal plans. I've seen that most egregiously at SeaWorld Orlando for sure, but we're seeing it in Six Flags, Knott's, and so forth. It's no good, but it's definitely something to highlight for sure. Let's see if we can go ahead and round out here. I know we're coming up on 2 hours, so we'll go ahead and wind down, but I want to go ahead and hit one more thing that's very, very crucial, very, very important. Bluey to debut. No headliners. Disneyland was founded on live entertainment from the earliest days of the park. Walt understood that attractions alone were not enough. Parades, pageantry, music, theatrical productions, and characters in motion were what made the place feel alive. Disneyland was never meant to be a museum of rides. It was designed to perform. There is genuine excitement around Bluey's Best Day Ever experience opening March 22nd at the reimagined Fantasyland Theater. This is not a simple meet and greet. It will feature live performers, a live band, immersive play elements, and a participatory structure that invites families to step into the story rather than sit and watch it. For young families, it sounds like a strong addition. It checks every box on the current strategy, attracting new audiences, encouraging repeat visits, and maximizing capacity in a large venue. Disney Live Entertainment leadership made a thoughtful case for where the industry is heading. Immersive storytelling is on the rise. Guests want to be part of the experience rather than simply just observe it. Projection technology allows the resort to activate new spaces and expand viewing capacity. Atmosphere entertainment creates intimate, emotional moments that can feel more personal than a distant stage. And all of that makes sense. But it's also fair to say, to note at least, that the Hyperion Theater remains dark. The Fantasyland Theater has shifted away from a long-running theatrical production. Avengers Campus lost its sun shows, and while projection-based offerings can be impressive, they are not a direct replacement for full-scale stage productions. A headline theatrical show would do much more than just entertain. It also helps absorb crowds in a resort gearing up for years of major construction and lost attraction capacity. It provides a weatherproof anchor. It signals artistic ambition, and it reinforces Disneyland's identity as a performance-driven park, not just a collection of rides. Bluey's a smart move, but we aren't going to stop pointing out that big stage entertainment is sorely missing, and a core element of the classic Disney parks experience. They even note that, hey, can we get a new dragon for Fantasmic right there? Mm-hmm. This is very interesting. They're saying, look, people, they don't want to just sit down in an auditorium and watch a show. They want to be part of it. And it's like, it feels like a little gaslighting to me. I understand. Look, you're going to have these kind of DJ dance experiences, right? I think we have one in Tomorrowland right now. I think the Disney Junior Live on Stage is another example of that in Hollywoodland. Bluey might be another one of them. But come on. Hyperion's been empty for years now. What's been going on? Do you believe this idea that immersive experiences are on the rise, and that's why they don't have shows at Disneyland Resort? What do you guys think?
Well, I think they don't have shows at Disneyland Resort ever since that latest whatever the union thing was, and they started firing all those people. But
Boom.
they should get I should have something at the Hyperion. Because yeah, I mean, especially with Monsters Inc. eventually leaving, and then there's luckily nothing else being taken down in California Adventure, but it does help soak up the crowds, especially if you're taking away Avengers Campus, entertainment for the time being. You should help soak up the crowds. Also, it's good in a hot summer day. It gets very hot in Anaheim sometimes, and some people just want to chill out. If you want to stand in lines all day, you need a little break. And it enhances the overall guest experience. You have Fantasyland Theater being activated by Bluey, which is good. That was the other second largest theater that was sitting empty. And then now you need the Hyperion. California Metro needs some help. You take away Pixar Better Together Parade. That's gone, right? So that's another thing to help soak people up and just sit there watching the parade. Give them, and I get that because of the construction. So give them something else to do. Put them in the nice theater. It's just sitting there. It's not like it's empty. I mean, they just used it for the Rogers the Musical. So even put that back. I enjoyed that. Do something in there. But it is kind of a crime just to have it just sitting there with nothing going on, and not even temporarily in the summer months or a seasonal thing, just nothing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they drum up something, anything.
Alan, I know you understand this more than anybody else. I mean, look, imagine if SeaWorld just got rid of its shows and experiences just overnight, just gone. What happens to those coasters? I mean, we love our coasters as much as the next guy, but we know that those lines going to get very long when that happens.
I will put it out there, and I'll go back to Epic Universe when something goes down, and because Epic Universe, they have issues of just stuff that's able to run in inclement weather, right? So without these shows, everything else just fills up, and it makes it a miserable experience. I think, unfortunately, in SoCal, we're a victim right there of, and I say victim with quotes on it, of the weather for Disneyland too. So I don't think it's not as a high priority, because there's plenty of other things to do. And yes, it does get hot in Anaheim. It's not humid, and it's not as bad. Constantly. So they're saying, oh, it's not really a focal point for them, and I think that's why they haven't really put much emphasis on these live shows. And they have plenty of other things to do. So you say, oh, well, we should have a show. Well, we don't have it. We have 40 other attractions. Right. We'll make do, and I think that's probably just the issue, and it's like you said, it's a crime, and also I think the other thing is, since we have so many repeat visitors as well too, a lot of people, unfortunately, they feel that shows are one and done. So then you don't get that repeat. So I think they're probably trying to find a way to have a show, and they want to say, hey, we need interactive elements, so people they want to come back and do it.
It's interesting. That's an interesting idea. I mean, yeah, I think live entertainment has a higher repeat value than maybe like a 3D show, for example, especially in the West Coast, right? That being said, though, I think there is wisdom in what you're saying, and now add in the lightning lane factor, in which you have now an incentive to drive more demand towards your attractions. I think all those things are playing out. I do agree, Wizard. It's like, come on, man. Can we at least get a daytime parade and nighttime parade? Do we just have to have one or the other all the time? That's a little bit unfortunate. Fantasmic is in bad shape. Go ahead.
I think there's a lot to say about the entertainment. Oh, I'm sorry, Wizard. Go ahead. I apologize.
Disney can use the lightning thing still to their advantage. That's
true.
Universal Hollywood, right? They have Express for Waterworld, and they have the seating area
Which
there.
Is so good.
And Waterworld itself is the show that's been there, and many locals, like all of us, or top three, have seen it multiple times. So if the show is really, and I know they do think of it as like a one and done probably show, like up everyone can see it's a one time. But if you make it really good, maybe people will see it multiple times, like Waterworld. But Disney can easily, it's a big theater with 2,000 seats in there, make a lightning lane section, and then in the front, and have lightning lane for your Hyperion show, so you can still monetize it. Disney, come on, man.
I think Disney, before MJ goes, I think they should probably look to Universal for the point too, because I will say like the Born Spectacular is freaking amazing, and everything they use in that is amazing. And I think even if they somehow bring a show like that with the technology over to the West Coast, I think it would do really, really great things. And it lets you use those theater spaces. And I think they should be looking for something like that.
That's a good point. I mean, look,
And I feel like those
Tokyo already
that tech
has
over
a
there
place.
would work with. I'm saying I feel like the Born tech would kind of work with like in a Marvel type show because it's very
Yeah.
sunny. So I feel that
No, I think that would be amazing, because I said I love the Born Spectacular. Bring it here now.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good. If you haven't seen it, guys, go over to Florida, check it out. It's really, really good. And I will say, Tokyo already has a kind of paid seating for its shows. Look, if we're already going that direction, I mean, we already have with Fantasmic at this point.
Yeah.
We might as well go full bore. Maybe that's a way that some of these experiences could come back. I would take that at this point. MJ, your thoughts, please.
No, yeah, I actually think that Japan is hitting the nail with that hammer in the perfect location as far as like entertainment is concerned. Like when you compare the live entertainment at the parks in Japan, it almost makes you wonder, well, why can't they do the same over here in our domestic parks? I really think going back to Bluey and Bingo being debuted over at Disneyland and now here at the Walt Disney World Resort in Animal Kingdom, they're also going to be putting Bingo and Bluey on the Disney cruise ships. I think they're finally starting to wake up and remember we are an entertainment company for children and families. They have strayed from that for a long time. And now they're making provisions. And I checked maybe a couple of months ago, it could be less than that. There was a lot of casting calls, and they're hiring and looking for talent at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World here in Orlando. And I was like, this is great. That means that they're looking for talent. They're looking for performers. They're going to be revamping things and adding live entertainment. It's such a huge thing. Yes, coasters are for roller coaster enthusiasts everywhere. Yes, that's important. I used to be one before I couldn't like go on every one of them anymore. But I think that for the family, because the focal point here is families, entertainment for families, I think that if they get their act together and they provide the right entertainment that's clean, family friendly, and fun, it could be something. It could become a staple again, because I feel like both Disneyland parks here in the States have failed as far as providing a staple show. Oh, I gotta go see this show again. I just gotta get back to the parks again to go, because it's becoming forgettable, and you don't want to do that. There's one, the pageant, the one of the electric parade in the water. I forget the name of that. That's like that's a staple.
Oh,
yeah, electric
World
water.
World of Color too. Yeah.
Exactly. Those are staples, and people don't forget those, but the rest are not. They're very forgettable. So I really think that they're going more in that family-friendly direction, especially adding Bingo and Bluey to the cruise ships and whatnot. And the cruise ships are killing it with entertainment in the parks in Japan. So they really need to piggyback off of that and bring it over here to the States, because the locals deserve it, obviously, annual pass holders. But a lot of people are still spending a lot of money crossing the pond to get over here and spend thousands of dollars on their once in a lifetime vacations, or vacations that they take once every few years.
Yeah. It's just it's a balancing act, right? Like everything is. I think, Alan, I think it's very, very interesting how guests might treat shows and entertainment. No question about that. That being said, we have so many dead venues at Disneyland Resort. It's really, kind of.
I know. I think we need to fill it up, because I think even if you do, and Universal Japan, it was. I was shocked about how much live entertainment they had, and how much rotating stuff they had.
Did you see the dinosaurs that walk around the park?
I was. Universal Japan's my favorite Universal park. Like I will
really,
but Oh yeah,
It's
Universal
phenomenal.
Japan
I'll send it to you, Vash. It's phenomenal. I watched the POV of it. I was like, "Are you serious? There's
Yeah.
dinosaurs walking in the
Yeah, I saw that. But I think
Mhm.
I noticed what they do is that, like, because I went to Japan last summer for Universal Studios Japan, and I'm thinking about going with my friends going. I'm thinking about just going there because they rotate so much of their live entertainment, and even the roller coaster, they do like a Space Fantasy. They always do like a new overlay. So I think Disney, even if they have shows that could rotate, and they could build them like that too, to have people in there, so you don't need full scale productions, but something's different. So then, if you go four times a year, then you're like, hey, I'm gonna stop and see this because it's different than what it was last time. I want to see the differences of that, and I think that's a start, because sometimes doing nothing isn't the best thing. Like, we need to do something, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
we need to fill those billions in there to try something.
No, and I completely agree with you. And if done right, especially with destination resort experiences, attractions book vacations. Entertainment can get you coming back. So that's a very interesting dynamic. I think that exists, at least with some parks, especially like you said, Universal Japan. I did not know they had so many entertainment offerings. Very, very interesting. Man, I'm gonna have to visit this one right here. MJ, I think you were going to say something.
No, I'm actually. I just had a few comments. I was looking at the starred
Sure.
ones. I don't know if you want to get to those before
Please
we
go
wrap
ahead
it up.
and
Yeah.
bring them on. Let's go ahead and bring them
Okay.
on.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll let you gentlemen probably answer some of these questions, or I think these are.
Sargon.
Mm-hmm.
Sargon 2008.
How dedicated will Disney finance the Avatar land at DCA?
It's an interesting question. I don't know, Alan. Do you think Wizard, you can chime in too. Do you think the budget just got cut just a little bit based on this new theatrical box office performance of Fire and Ash, or do you think it's going to?
I think
they're really
I think
throwing
it-
everything
I
at it.
think I think it either stayed the same, or I think it maybe could have even increased if Josh did the same thing they did with Avatar with Villains Land. I think it maybe could have gone up a little bit, but at least I feel like at least stayed the same.
I think box office performance, Fire and Ash, it did do 1.5 billion, so it's nothing to sneeze at. It's like the third highest grossing movie of 2025. Like, only Zootopia beat it, and Ne Zhang. I think stuff could change in the budget. I think the overall budget is probably around the same. If it changed, it will maybe minuscule, but I think it's pretty safe. I think they might change certain things to better use that money, and that's why I said, hey, for all we know, maybe they're repurposing that whole building of Monsters Inc., which is why the ride's staying open.
Interesting.
And I think so they might just reallocate money in there, but the overall budget, I think it's going to be the same.
That's an interesting point. We only really saw concepts for one ride for this whole Avatar experience. Perhaps maybe that grows into something else. Maybe it becomes wider for the family. Interesting. Go ahead, MJ, bring up the next one. Oh, yes. Albertus Magnus, 44. Maintenance has been a challenge since July 17th, 1955. Disney has had it mastered since 2020. They have not. Disney management de-emphasizes maintenance and shows maintenance is long-term. It has to be managed that way. Yeah, I think there are multiple reasons for downtime growing. And again, Len Testa has tracked the downtime associated with Disney parks in recent history, and the numbers are crazy. It's absolutely insane how much downtime there actually is at Disney parks, which is why he started doing it in the first place, because he noticed himself additional downtime from years past. I don't know how much that has to do with maintenance, but maintenance is certainly got to be top of mind, especially with the price point asked. Right now, I think there's even less tolerance for some stuff like this. And I was going to say that about refurbishments as well. Previously, Disneyland could get away with taking so many attractions down, but now with reservations and the high price point, the tolerance amongst guests to actually to take a ride being down, especially so many at the same time, is less and less as that goes on. Very interesting stuff indeed. Any thoughts on that?
I think we hit it on the head earlier talking about it. That concept shift. Yeah. I think when you have people who, you said, we had people to give them, to advise them, who that wasn't really their forte, and I think part of it was they looked at how they do maintenance at regional parks rather than a national park or international destination. And like I'll put it this way, like Six Flags Magic Mountain, they have 4 B&M coasters, right? So
Yes.
and since they're so similar, the maintenance team could work on all 4 of them, and you could cannibalize different parts of different rides, even though they're different rides types. A lot of the parts they're interchangeable. So
We've
they said,
seen that
hey,
with like lift motors
Yeah.
and so forth.
yeah. So then like if we could do that over here at this theme park, why can't you do that at this theme park? But it doesn't work that way. So I think they got some bad advice. They tried something, and that now they're trying to correct course, which
Yep.
as they should.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's no question about that, and part of that is institutional memory, right? You want to hold on to those long-term employees and those long-term management teams because they know the parks maybe better than the new ones coming in. All right, let's see here. Do we have anything else that we want to go ahead and have? Oh yes, Cliff Flicks, Vash Sky ParkCast. Any word on Murphy? Is she dead? Gone forever? I had a source, and I won't name them because I think they want to remain anonymous in this discussion. I had a source that was saying that it was being actively worked on and maybe even constructed and delivered in time for the 70th anniversary. Obviously, that has passed. And the person who was assigned to the task was located somewhere else. So it was like, uh-oh, what's going on? I think something might be on the way eventually, but it's going to take a little time. I would listen to around like the October 1st area because here's what's interesting about Disneyland Resort. It follows the fiscal year for Disney very, very closely, and the fiscal year is October 1st. Around that time is when Burbank allows for a new tranche of funding for entertainment. So perhaps, maybe we hear something around that time this time as well. I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of thinking right now as to when we might actually hear something. Very interesting stuff indeed. The other thing that they mentioned was they were going to Disneyland officials, that is, they were going to prioritize guest experience even with this construction, which I thought was very, very interesting. They were looking at heat maps and so forth and how best to reduce friction points around these construction projects in order to facilitate a great day and to keep as much capacity operational as possible. I thought that was very, very interesting and very, very thoughtful. We'll have to see what really is going on here and how this actually impacts the daily guest visits and see if surveys actually improve. I know that, things are not great at the parks, especially for those who may have visited them pre-2020. But it looks like they are improving. And that might be because Thomas Moslem, he's on the short list of taking that chairman job. So maybe he's getting that in front of that and saying, hey, we're really doing some great things over there. And Thomas Moslem, he comes from Signature Experiences, right? He comes from Cruise Line. Cruise Line is known for their exceptional standards when it comes to maintenance, friendliness, cast, and so forth. So imbuing that, right, imbuing that to Disneyland Resort, I think is a good move right there for sure. So we'll have to keep an eye on all of this and more. But somebody we have to keep an eye on is Almighty Coasters. Goodness gracious, you are criminally under sub, sir. Come on.
Okay, so I will say this too. Because of Ethan over here, he actually made me, put effort in my YouTube. So I'm mostly an Instagram guy. I'm a photographer by trade. So, and then I was doing some real videos, and Ethan was telling me, hey, you need to put this on YouTube as well to be served, especially when I did my trip to Japan. So I did tell Ethan, and so the Wizard and OG55, I said, hey, this year I will go move stuff over to my YouTube and actually create content for my YouTube. So the Wizard's making me do stuff as well, but I said I'm also Almighty Coasters on Instagram as well too. Bigger following on there, so people don't beat me up on here.
The wonderful thing about Wizard is Wizard does wonderful things.
Yeah, that's true.
Wizard,
we'll go over there. Subscribe to Almighty Coasters over there on both his YouTube and his Instagram. Really, really cool stuff right there. OG with the compliments. Much love to Alan. Great guy. Such a wealth of knowledge in this theme park and coaster space. Oh, yes. And I am very much a coaster enthusiast myself. So I know I have had private conversations with Alan in other forums, and this guy's knowledge is top notch. So very, very cool for sure. We also have Theme Park Wizard, who not only has a YouTube channel, but also has Well, a website as well, themeparkwizard.com. Awesome stuff. Wizard, where can the people find you on this great but beautiful web out there?
You can find me on the forums on themeparkwizard.com. You can find me on YouTube by pressing that subscribe button. You can, and look, there's Diagon Alley. You can see my Florida trip. And then you can go ahead and find me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that good stuff. You can book your next vacation with me by DMing me on any one of those social media platforms or emailing me at a link in my YouTube channel. So I'll be waiting.
Fantastic. And we have the amazing producer extraordinaire, Magical Lee MJ. There you go. I got it right there. Kind of. How can the people find you?
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. It was so wonderful being on the panel with you guys today and having fun here backstage. Helping out Vash is just a pleasure. It's been great. You guys are really knowledgeable, and Almighty, you are the man when it comes to coasters. And Wizard, you know you're the wonderful wizard of all things. So it's been great being here with you guys. But yeah, I'm on Instagram and X, mostly on Instagram. If you my good friend, amazing wrench, Tom F. Let me put him up there. Yeah, I have some really cool links, affiliate links on there. So I do appreciate the follow and the likes. And yeah, you'll find those links really interesting. Between my links and Wizards, being the travel agent expertise here, you'll save a lot of money on your adventure. So check that out. Thank you so much for the love, guys. Thank you.
Very cool. I love it all. I want to go ahead and shout out to some people what we have in the chat right now. We have Just a Dutchie OG, Orange Grove 55, that is OG Dutchie, as they are known right now. Very interesting. Sargon 2008, Super Dave. We've got like the Rogue Attraction, Clip Flicks. We got a lot of people. We're practice and everything like that. Pretty cool. I just wanted to go ahead and thank you for joining us, because this is a spontaneous stream, and we will have another live stream as it is scheduled every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern following that Park Place. Very, very cool. Awesome stuff. Let me go ahead and also get Theme Park Casual. He is live right now, and I would usually redirect to him. I don't have those privileges just yet, though, which is why, hey guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Keep watching our content so that we get those privileges for you. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat right there. Boom, right there. You can follow that link to Theme Park Casual. He is streaming at Disneyland right now, walking through the hub, and it is a beautiful day out there. So to join him, you can go ahead and do that right now. Thank you so much, Alan, Wizard, MJ, and everybody for joining us. We will see you next time. Vash Sky ParkCast. I can end it. Can I end it? Come on, end it.